Good evening, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out. I'd love to see a big crowd. Let me just, a couple ground rules. When we start the meeting and we have our open forum, we can ask us questions. Please don't speak until someone comes to you with the microphone. And when Dr. Anderson is done with his presentation, he'll take all the questions, but we need to have you talk into a mic because our meetings are live streamed and are recorded, and that's the only way those people will be able to hear it. So just don't shout out, please. So first on our agenda, oh, by the way, my name's Cliff Weiner. I'm president of the POA. First on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, which is going to be led by Gary Cato, and then remain standing for a moment of silence.
Please place your hand over your heart. Veterans, you may salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord, we ask your blessing on our first responders and all those serving in our military. Keep them safe and bring them home when their time is due. Thank you. You may be seated.
Usually at this time we have the meeting of our minutes read by our secretary, but he's out of town along with their treasurer, so we'll skip both of those. Makes it go really fast. But what I usually do next is introduce any supervisors or people that do other things in the villages on different boards. So we have some of those here today. Ron Baxa from District 2 is here. Raise your hand, Ron. Dan Warren, who serves on the NSCOD board, is here. Gary Cato, who's the chairman of District 5 board, is here. Jim Vaccaro, who's on AAC, is here. He's in the back. I know my friend Mark Hayes is here on District 4. And I also serve on the District 4 board as the chairman of that board. Next, we will, at the back of the room, our friends. We have our friends, Dr. Curtis from K2 Medical has a table in the back. Our friends from Seniors versus Crime, Suncool, Realty Execs, and Rate. Those people have supported us for a long time, many years, so they have lots of good stuff back there. Stop by and say hello to them. Thank you. As I said before, our meetings are video recorded. You can watch them live tonight on our Facebook page, or tomorrow morning they will be posted on our website. They will remain there forever. We have been doing this for recording our meetings live and putting them on our website since 2021, Mike? Okay, and because of that, and it works so well, I actually got the district government to record some of the district board meetings. And just so you know, District 1, District 4, AAC, and District 5 are now recording their meetings. And I continue to get the other districts to record theirs, because that gives you guys a chance, no matter where you live, to see what's happening and what your government is doing. That's really kind of important. Okay, there's some important changes. So Cindy, you're up, hon.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to be here and honored to share some exciting information about the Property Owners Association, as well as some important announcements. Can you believe the POA has been representing you, the property owners, for 50 years? Yes, the POA is turning 50. To celebrate this exciting event, all village residents are invited to our 50th anniversary celebration on Tuesday, October 21st, here at Laurel Manor at 6 p.m. There you will see the full POA story, introducing our organization for new residents, highlighting 50 years of accomplishments, seeking new members, and previewing our vision for the next 50 years. Amazing volunteers created an engaging storyboard experience so you can learn more about what the POA does and connect with its representatives. The first step toward the future is transitioning the POA bulletin to the POA digital magazine, featuring a fresh design and improved content. You're not going to want to miss this. Many loyal POA magazine advertisers will be at the 50th celebration offering giveaways and prizes. There will also be exciting raffles for everyone who attends. And we need your help. Anyone can do it. It's not hard. Your participation helps ensure the success of this celebration and the POA. Please join us for some fun and help by volunteering to assist with setup or general support, be a greeter to welcome guests, help as technology assistants using laptops, serve as a POA representative at our storyboards, encourage guests as they exit to join our membership. As a token of appreciation for volunteering, you would have access to a dedicated break room stocked with food, drinks, and snacks. Next, we have an important announcement. After 10 years of dedicated service, Cliff Weiner is retiring as POA president at the end of 2025. He will remain involved as a POA board member and continue supporting the POA and the new president. We know you will join us in wishing Cliff well as he looks forward to enjoying well-earned leisure time with his family. Cliff will share his own thoughts with you soon. Give him a round of hands. To ensure a smooth transition and continued strong leadership, we are opening nominations effective immediately for new board positions, including president, vice president, and treasurer, a financial skill sets beneficial for the treasurer position. We already have 2 nominations, Reb Benson for president and Dan Warren for vice president. If you wish to nominate someone or self-nominate, please speak to any POA board member between now and the November meeting when elections will take place. Now let's look ahead to future needs. We are testing several initiatives as we prepare for 2026 and beyond, focusing on the areas the POA wants to address. We want to ensure residents' input and build a strong, active think tank and volunteer network for the POA's next 50 years. To accomplish this, we are forming a focus group to explore the value of creating several areas such as a historians and lessons learned database, a legal resource list, a pool of potential village governmental board candidates, an outreach team to seek and find various energy, talent, and skill sets to join our advisory initiative teams. Once volunteers show their interest, and I passed out a form to most of you, there's some more at the back if you'd like, we'll hold a kickoff meeting after the November elections to discuss the next steps. Of course, the new POA board and leadership will guide these initiatives. Right now, we are simply testing interest and forming a resident participant focus group so we can be ready to rock and roll in January of 2026. We remind you that the villages are experiencing many changes and external challenges, which makes the POA's resident advocacy more vital than ever. Your involvement, whether a volunteer, a nominee, or a member, helps protect our retirement lifestyle and investments. This is your opportunity to be a part of the POA for the next 50 years. This will be an exciting and energizing phase. The next POA membership meeting is on October 2nd at the Everglades Recreation Center. Thank you for your attention and your support. Please complete the volunteer or membership forms provided and turn it in as you exit. Together, we will ensure the POA continues to thrive for the next 50 years and beyond, advocating for you, the property owners. Now back to our POA president, Cliff.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. I got to say, Cindy is not any part of the board. She volunteered to help with the 50th year expo. She's done a great job. She's one of many people that volunteered. We can use all the help we can have. And I just want to say briefly, I'll have more to say about my 10 years as president in December, but it's been an honor and a privilege to represent all of you for the last 10 years. So with that being said, we're going to try something new in January. Our meeting in January, April, July, and October are at Everglades Rec Center. And this year, January 1st, which is when our meeting would be on the first Thursday, it's New Year's Day, so they've given us January 8th, and we're going to hold the first POA bingo night. So it's going to be something different that we're going to try. You want to play bingo? Come on down. POA members will get an advantage. They'll get some extra cards to play. You're going to have a good time. It's going to be a fun event. We're going to try it and see what happens. Okay, next on the agenda is our open forum. So if you have any kind of questions that do not pertain to what Dr. Anderson is going to talk about, we would be more than happy to answer them or get you an answer if I don't have one. So raise your hand. A couple of my directors will come around. Gary? Dan, you got a mic? Okay.
Wasn't it saying it's a stupid question? Only a stupid
Yes.
answer. We're not
Has the
gonna give you
POA
any-
ever addressed Airbnbs?
No.
Is there-
And the reason why is because as a supervisor, I deal with this also. And I will tell you that there is nothing that can be done until the developer wants to change the deed restrictions. Okay? There are laws in Tallahassee that permit a lot or won't let you do a lot of what we would like to see done. So there are lots of rules. We look at it all the time. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. And something's going to have to be done. And that's part of what, when Cindy was talking about initiatives going forward, some of the things that this focus group that we hope to start can take on, because we need fresh ideas and new people to try to help us do some of these things. And these are all issues that affect every single person in this room and every single person that lives in the villages. And if we don't do things to protect our property values, which is all we have, sooner or later we're going to be in trouble. So, but we are aware of it. We look at it all the time. Anybody else?
Anything at all? You're making it easy.
Gary,
I think this has been addressed before, but why can the developer break their contract and we can't? We signed a contract when we purchased the house that our amenity fees would not be raised. And now all of a sudden they're being raised every year. Why can't the newer developments that he is building be charged a different rate, but leave the rates current for those who've been here for many, many, many years?
I'm not trying to disagree with you, but that's not a true statement. You signed a contract that the amenity fees would go up, whatever the CPI was, every year. If you moved here many, many years ago, like I did, 23 years ago, for the first 3 years, my amenity fees stayed the same. That was part of the deal. That went away in about 2025, 2026, and they stopped doing it. Everybody's amenity fees go up on the date that the house was first purchased. So if you bought a resale, it's not when you bought it, it's when the original owner took title to that house as to when the amenity fees go up. So, for instance, you could have moved in February, but the original owner moved in January. So you're going to get a raise in January, and then you'll also get a raise in February, which isn't the way it should be, but that's the way it works. Amenity fees, and God knows people think the POA does not like the developer. That's the farthest thing from the truth. Okay, do we disagree with some of the things he does? We do. Are we here to protect you? We are. Amenity fees are cheap here for what we have. Okay? We have multi-million dollars that we have in a budget for the amenity fees throughout the villages. There's no place that has this many swimming pools or rec centers or pickleball courts or anything else. Now down south in Eastport, you're going to have an indoor arena to play basketball and pickleball or whatever. It's going to be air conditioned. Our amenities are phenomenal. But there's a difference between 466 North and 466 South. And that's what, and I happen to live north of 466. So that's where the issue comes, because the bonds that are issued to pay for those amenities north of 466 will be paid off in 2036. Done. They will have no more bonds. So every dime they collect north of 466 will go into a fund, which is going to be about an extra $12 to $13 million a year. They're going to be flushed with money. South of 466, because they just took on new debt when they bought the amenities in District 12 and 13 for $258 million, plus what they already owed. They're looking at 2060, 2065 before their bonds are paid. They're in a different situation. And what they're saying, because Jim Vaccaro, who's on the AAC, is here and been a proponent for putting a cap on, they're saying that they have to be the same. I will tell you, at the last AAC meeting, the board directed the attorney to try to see if they could change the language in the interlocal agreement, which would mean that the AAC, the developer, and the PWAC board, Project-Wide Advisory Committee, would have to agree that if they can change the language, they might be able to put a cap north of 466. That's the first step. You're not going to get anything done until you sit down and talk in a rash, normal, civil manner, okay? But there can be things that are going to be done, and we keep pushing it. Believe me when I tell you. So, but we get a lot for our amenities. I just, you know, I'm not a fan of everything the developer does, but he did give us a great deal of great amenities. Yes.
My question is the POA going to get involved in the village's health situation, the current bankruptcy situation?
Did I know that question was going to come up?
Yeah, not a chance.
That's about the most loaded question there is. I'm going to tell you, I look at it, I get every paper that's sent from the bankruptcy court, okay, and via email. There's stuff happening every single day. I don't think that this is even close to being over. Okay, there's lots of things that still need to be determined. United Health has a lawsuit. They paid a premium to be the provider of insurance for the village's health upfront in 2013 when they started this. So they have a huge lawsuit. There's lots of questions, and we monitor it every day, but we're not going to give you incorrect information. And that's unfortunately what's happening out there from some of the places that are saying things or rumors getting started. I won't do that, and I won't let this board do that. What we give you is going to be factual that we can verify. So we look at it every day. They're allowed to sell it. I want to know why the government isn't going to make them pay back the Medicare fraud. That's the big issue to me. If you or I did that, we'd be in handcuffs right now.
It's a criminal act.
But so far it looks like nothing's gonna. I really don't have an answer for you. But believe me, the first time we do, you'll see a magazine that'll have more information in it that you can shake a stick at. We'll keep looking at it. We're not going anywhere.
Cliff, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, one of the things that's really important, and I'm just kind of curious, how many of you in this room have actually gone to one of your district meetings with your elected supervisors? Regularly? Okay, that's what you should be doing, okay? You have a district government, you elected them. I'm chairman of District 5. I don't get a ton of people coming to our meeting. The only time I hear is if somebody's got a problem and they want us to take care of it right away. But that's where the information comes out. Going to your district meetings makes a huge, huge difference. What you read in the paper, and you got to bear in mind who actually edits the paper and puts that stuff in there, folks, okay? Could it be slanted? Maybe. On the other hand, when you go to a district meeting, you can ask any questions you want to ask. If there's something on the agenda, you raise your hand, you'll be recognized, you can speak, you're treated with dignity and respect, as you should be. We don't get paid to do this. We do this because we want to take care of our fellow residents in our districts. And I'll be honest with you, I've done it for 18 years now, and I love it because we can make a difference. The developer is powerful, no question about that. Well connected, very well connected. I can remember days where they could pick up the phone and literally call the president on speed dial. That's power. In a district, we don't have that kind of power unless we have you participating in the government itself, which is the district. And so far, the districts have done a pretty decent job. I moved here in 2005, and my district maintenance fee back then was $578. Not a ton, but I looked at it this year, it's actually down. It's $174 less than what I was paying 20 years ago. Why? Because the districts work hard. We handle the budgets, we handle the payroll, we do a lot of different things. And if you want to know what's going on and ask the right questions, and possibly get it in the paper where everybody's going to read it, come to your district meetings. That is so, so important. Don't wait and say, well, the other guy's going to go. I'm going to go play golf, or I'm going to do this. It's one day a month. Put the time in. It'll come back to you tenfold. Thank you.
Gary, I have to say I don't like you very much now. Gary's in District 5, and as I said, I'm the chairman of the District 4 board, and because we own our own roads, District 4, the only district in the villages that owns their own roads, we have to pay for all the maintenance on those roads, where all the rest of you get Sumter County to do it. So we're not quite in the same financial shape, but I'll tell you what, District 4 has done a great job because our maintenance fees aren't that much higher, and we have $1.5 million or $2 million a year in road repairs. So it's different, but I hate you anyways. Okay. Anybody, any other questions? And Gary's a great friend of mine.
I'm sorry, I don't know anything about the health situation that went bankrupt. Could you tell us what that is?
Villages Healthcare has 9 locations in the villages. It was originally supposed to be like a Marcus Welby clinic, and it was funded by the developer. It was started by the developer, and now they have filed for bankruptcy, and they have sold it to Humana WellCare and for $68 million, which is, pardon? Yeah, it was a fire sale. Don't understand it, but I think they just want to get out. I don't understand, but I will tell you that whoever buys it is still paying $1.25 million a year in rent for each one of those 9 clinics. And the 2 floors that they have at Brownwood Medical Building, they're paying $2.5 million for. So if you want to know where the money's going, I guess I just told you. A lot of it's going there. So any other questions? And let me just say one thing. The worst thing I want to see is that place go bankrupt and go away, because 55,000 people that are receiving medical care there, we don't have enough doctors here to take care of those people. That would be catastrophic. I mean, they need to stay there and take care of the patients that they have. Yes.
Yes. I've had this United Health for some years. I've got my same doctor. If you have this health insurance, you received a letter telling you that nothing is going to be changed. Whatever they're doing right now, I'm just saying, I mean, give me a look, but we received it and said that we are getting everything that we have now. Nothing is going to change. That's all I have to say. And I love my doctor, and I've enjoyed having this insurance, so I hope it stays the same. It's the greatest.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, Gary, right here in the front row.
How do we find out where and when our district meetings are?
Where and when what?
Our district meetings are?
Actually, you can go to our POA website, and I have a calendar on there, and we have just finished posting every district meeting from now until the end of September, because the new year starts in October. So they're there until September 30th, 2026, and when there's a change, we will change it so that it's up to date. But it's also on the DistrictGov website that you can go to districtgov.org.
Just type
and
in your
just
address
click
and it'll come back
whatever,
and tell you what your district is.
district you live in. So you live in the Leesburg part of the Villages. Okay, your meetings, they changed them. They used to be on Thursdays. I think they're now on Wednesdays, but, okay.
You know, you can also call the information line and just tell them where you live. They'll
It's
tell
easy
you
to
what
go look
district
it up
you're in, and
yourself.
they'll tell you when your meetings are too. If you don't.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, let me tell you that next month, or October 2nd, I believe it is, Sheriff Pat Breeden will be our speaker. Then on October 21st, right here in this room, we're going to have our 50th anniversary. In November, we're going to have Dr. John Young, and I believe he's going to talk about, actually, I don't know what he's going to talk about. He's going to talk about whatever he wants, but it's always very interesting. And we're going to try something different in December, right here in this room. Gary Cato, who's the founder of a Project SOS, which is Support Our Soldiers, which takes care of our veterans that are living in undeal conditions, either in the forest or wherever, is going to have a small talk. And then we're going to have the kids from the Villages Elementary Choir on Rolling Acres, one of the poorest schools in Sumter, or in Lake County, actually, here, and their choir is going to sing some Christmas carols for us. I just thought it would be something different. That's part of the initiative of changing things going into the next 50 years that I am going out with and the new board is going to come in with. So with that being said, I guess it's time now for my friend Dr. Anderson to give us this presentation. And please hold your questions until the end. And he's promised me he'll stay and answer every question that you have. And we have lots of people, so there'll be lots of questions. Dr. Anderson, thank you.
Thank you very much. I guess we need to reconnect. Should be. Hold on, let me disconnect and then reconnect and see if that works.
And while they're reconnecting, I just want to say one thing. You see a man walking around taking pictures. He's taking them for us. It's part of our new magazine, and we have a photographer that's now going to be taking different photos, and we're going to have some new drone shots for you. So there's lots of changes coming to the POA.
This slide has absolutely nothing to do with the lecture. But if you enjoyed it as much as I did, I had to include it. Osteoarthritis is the degeneration of cartilage. It seems every family has a member who suffers from its ravages. According to the World Health Organization, osteoarthritis is the most rapidly increasing health condition and the second leading cause of disability in the United States. As it progresses, the pain associated with the condition may become more intense. Over time, swelling in the joint and surrounding tissue may occur. As indicated, osteoarthritis is the most common type of arthritis, affecting over 32 million people in the United States. Risk factors include number 1, a family member with the condition. Number 2, past injuries such as torn cartilage, dislocated joints, or ligament injuries. Number 3, being 50 years of age and older. Specifically, 90% of those affected are over the age of 45, with almost 50% of those affected age 65 or older. Number 4, women are twice as likely to experience osteoarthritis. Number 5, being overweight increases its occurrence. Number 6, for our ladies, being postmenopausal is a risk factor. Number 7, an occupation that involves kneeling, climbing, heavy lifting, or similar actions. And number 8, another medical condition that affects your joint health, such as a different type of arthritis. Osteoarthritis may affect different parts of your body. It most commonly affects the knees and the hips, but may also include hands, fingers, wrist, elbow, shoulder, spine called spondylosis, which is a degeneration of the discs between your vertebrae, in particular cervical osteoarthritis, and it can also affect the feet and the ankle. Symptoms may routinely involve multiple joints of your body. Having osteoarthritis in one area may increase your risk of developing the condition in other body parts. It is hypothesized that mechanisms which produce inflammation drive the recruitment of protein-destructive enzymes, which lead to a breakdown of the joint itself, formally called degradation of extracellular matrix. This results in damage to bone, the surface of the cartilage, menisci, ligaments, and synovium, which is further accelerated by excessive joint loading. I think of this as a pebble thrown in water, and the ripples spread out. Let's think of all the ripples, even though they diminish in size, as areas of potential involvement. Structurally, osteoarthritis can lead to joint space narrowing, osteophytes, or additional bone formation caused by the chronic frictional contact and bony deformation. This can be identified on radiographic studies to include plain X-rays, CTs or CAT scans, and MRIs. When one considers the occurrence for both men and women, the lifetime risk of developing knee osteoarthritis is 46%, and hip osteoarthritis as 25%. You see, the higher occurrence of osteoarthritis in ladies is actually medical proof to me that women work harder than men. In order to better treat patients, medicine defines 4 stages of osteoarthritis. The first one, mild. You may experience early symptoms, but your cartilage is still in good shape. Stage 2, moderate. You may experience sharp, acute symptoms. Your cartilage is now showing signs of wear and tear. Stage 3, advanced. You may experience constant symptoms, especially when you apply weight to the affected joint. The joint cartilage is almost gone. And stage 4, severe. You may experience severe pain, stiffness, and inflammation with decreased range of motion, joint instability, such as sudden locking or buckling, muscle weakness, bone spurs, and joint deformity. What is the history of treatment with therapeutic radiation? X-rays were first discovered in 1895, with the first patient treated for osteoarthritis in 1898. Therapeutic radiation was used worldwide until the 1960s. At that time, with the introduction of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents released by the pharmaceutical industry, the use of radiation for arthritis diminished in the United States. However, that did not occur in Europe, as Germany continued without pause the treatment of arthritis using therapeutic radiation. Over the next few slides, we'll look at the side effects of prior treatment as well as its cost. As history has shown, the constant use of nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory agents can adversely affect the liver, kidney, also resulting in gastrointestinal bleeds and heart dysfunction. Steroid injections into the joint space have also been selectively utilized. With chronic use, this can lead to progressive destruction of the joint, and the cost becomes markedly escalated when progression of arthritis requires surgical intervention to treat painful conditions. This has been the natural progression after appropriate and accepted treatments for a relentless condition. As an alternative, for plantar fasciitis, trochanteric bursitis, medial and lateral epicondylitis, tendinitis of various joints, and osteoarthritis of both large and small joints, low-dose therapeutic radiation has been shown to be of significant benefit. What is the potential collateral damage or side effects of having osteoarthritis? Undoubtedly associated with resultant decreased physical activity, osteoarthritis has been shown to increase the risk of developing heart disease by 50%. Additionally, with decreased activity, as well as associated conditions and adverse effect of medications, osteoarthritis has been shown to increase your mortality by 55%. It has also been associated with higher rates of depression and anxiety. It is the second most costly health condition in the United States and responsible for over 4% of all total hospitalization costs. Those affected by arthritis spend an estimated average personal cost of over $11,000 per year. Total U.S. direct costs for medical expenditures are $65 billion annually. Considering the reduction of health-related quality of life in those affected patients and the considerable socioeconomic costs due to multiple therapeutic procedures, osteoarthritis is a significant burden on the U.S. health system. That's me. That's my train passing through here. Let's look at a different alternative that can change the playing field and the quality of your life. Let's view the effect of Tylenol as an analogy. If one of us were to have a headache or muscle soreness, and we took only 1/4 of a Tylenol, that dose would probably just irritate the headache and the muscle soreness. You wouldn't experience any relief. But if one were to take 2 regular Tylenol, the likelihood of relieving the headache or the muscle soreness would be markedly improved. Now, at the other extreme, if one were to take an entire bottle of Tylenol at one time, it would not improve the relief of the headache or the muscle pain, but the toxicity or side effects to the liver could result in your death. Obviously, the Tylenol remained the same, but how it was taken varied tremendously. As for radiation, let's take our exposure to sunlight over decades of time. This is chronic irritation and can lead to skin malignancies, even though it plays an important component in the production of vitamin D. It is a trade-off. For example, doses of radiation less than 10 centigrade, or 0.1 gray, can be inflammatory in nature, but slightly higher doses of therapeutic radiation administered for osteoarthritis, like the optimal dose of Tylenol, create a totally different effect and are actually anti-inflammatory. That is, it reduces inflammation dramatically. From 10 centigrade up to 100 centigrade of radiation, the biological effect is one of reducing inflammation, and the ideal dose or sweet spot is that of 50 centigrade each time, and that is a totally different dose than used for treating cancer, with a totally different response. Radiation is not radiation. It is an energy whose effect dramatically varies based upon the amount given each time, the total dose, and the time interval between its delivery. This uniqueness will become more evident as we move through this presentation. Does what I've said so far make sense? Because this was not taught in medical school training. There are 3 anti-arthritic biologic events that take place when radiation is administered at low doses for the treatment of osteoarthritis. The first effect is the complete elimination of lymphocytes within the area of treatment. Lymphocytes are part of your immune system and function as an integral component of our body's defense mechanism. However, in the case of osteoarthritis, these cells dramatically increase inflammation and lead to the destruction of the joint. Low-dose radiation therapy immediately kills these cells on contact. Not only do the lymphocytes die, they disintegrate, literally eliminating the inflammation instantaneously. However, it can take up to 2 months following the completion of treatment before its overall benefit is realized. The second effect is that of stopping macrophages, another part of our immune system, from releasing chemicals whose effect is to attract more lymphocytes into the area of the joint. Low-dose radiation modifies the behavior of the macrophages, eliminating the production of chemicals that attract more lymphocytes. And the third reason for radiation success is that of modifying normal blood vessels, whose porous consistency allows lymphocytes to exit the blood vessel and migrate into the joint space. Low-dose radiation causes the lining of these blood vessels to close so that lymphocytes no longer leave the blood vessel and enter the joint space. This further reduces the hostile environment lymphocytes create that leads to the medical condition we know as osteoarthritis. In essence, the technique has been available for 125 years. In the clinical setting of Europe, it has been used uninterrupted for the past 60 years. In the U.S., less than 5% of radiation facilities have offered low-dose therapeutic radiation for non-cancer conditions. In Europe, over 85% of treatment facilities have offered therapeutic low-dose radiation. And so as I was talking to some of the members earlier, and they said some physicians say, oh, that doesn't work. How on earth do they know it doesn't work when it's never been used in the United States for 60 years? One can anticipate a 60 to 90% positive response in addressing the symptoms of osteoarthritis with the first course of therapeutic treatment. For those not achieving optimal results, the course of treatment can be repeated an additional 1 or 2 times, with each course increasing its effectiveness. One should allow 8 weeks following the completion of a treatment sequence to determine the overall benefit from its intervention. Conditions such as plantar fasciitis, trochanteric bursitis, medial and lateral epicondylitis, tendinopathies of various joints, and osteoarthritis of both large and small joints have been shown to benefit from low-dose radiation. Currently, there is strong data to suggest a benefit of low-dose RT in plantar fasciitis with greater than an 80% effectiveness in pain reduction. Additionally, data suggests benefits in Dupuytren contracture, Ledderhose disease, heterotopic ossification, and other disorders. Much of the modern data has been researched outside the U.S. to support the benefit of low-dose therapeutic radiation. What are the side effects of low-dose radiation therapy? Essentially none. The patient may experience slight fatigue, but the total dose we give of radiation for this treatment is about the dose a cancer patient would receive in one treatment. Does insurance cover this approach? Yes. In fact, when you look at the cost of radiation therapy, it is minimal compared to the other interventions, about 4% of a surgical procedure. So insurance companies not only want you to feel better, they want to pay a lot less. And this becomes a very dramatic financial alternative. Is there a risk of a secondary malignancy, and what age group is appropriate? And this has always been a concern, rightly so, of physicians. An ongoing concern since the atomic bomb was used in World War II. However, it is impossible to compare total body radiation therapy with that of localized therapeutic radiation administered to structures that don't involve internal organs. The most thorough research has been done in Europe. In comparison, for women receiving radiation therapy for shoulder osteoarthritis, the incidence of a breast cancer involving the breast closest to the treated shoulder actually demonstrated less incidence of developing a breast cancer compared to women having never received radiation therapy within the region of the breast. It's almost protective. An estimate of secondary occurrence of a malignancy would be roughly 1 in 10,000 patients, but that is theoretical. In reality, there has never been a recorded case in the medical literature of a malignancy occurring in an internal organ, and thus the risk would be extremely low. However, it is recommended that younger patients, younger than 40 years of age, not receive low-dose radiation for osteoarthritis. How many treatments does it require, and what are the side effects? When radiation is used for non-cancer treatment, we apply the premise that less is more. Specifically, although data would indicate that up to 1 gray or 100 centigray can be administered with each treatment, as indicated earlier, the sweet spot would be that of 0.5 gray, also 50 centigray. This dose is delivered 6 times over a period of 2 weeks, routinely administered Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The alternative would be to receive treatment twice weekly on Tuesday and Thursday over a period of 3 weeks, and that can also be modified without any problem. The total dose would be 3 gray or 300 centigray. This is also described as 300 rads, with the acronym RAD signifying radiation absorbed dose. And if you came through medicine in the dark ages, which is what I did, was always called RADs. Well, when you say 300 rads, people's hearts start to palpate. When you say 7,000 rads, they fall over dead. And so the medical system changed that to gray, which means that it takes 100 rads to equal 1 gray. Well, it's much nicer to say a very low number, even though we're talking about exactly the same amount of energy. Can the treatments be repeated if necessary? Another recent prospective study of 100 patients treated for hand osteoarthritis showed final significant pain improvement in 94% of patients after RT. Of note, 63% of the patients underwent a second course of treatment at 12 weeks due to an inadequate initial response. 70% of the patients treated were found to have an improvement in their pain after low-dose RT, but those who received a lower dose of 0.5 gray per fraction reported significantly better outcome in comparison to patients receiving twice as much, or 1 gray per fraction. Given the principle of as low as reasonably achievable, this data now suggests that using the lower dose of 0.5 gray is much better than using 1 gray in order to eliminate unnecessary side effects. Why has it not been used? It has not been considered to be the standard of care in the United States. It was not taught in U.S. medical schools, and it competed with other forms of treatment. It was not considered to be an alternative, as is the case in Europe. Let me give you some personal experience on physicians' opinions. I was privileged to serve with Dr. Jerry Schiebler. He was the head of pediatric cardiology at the University of Florida and became the president of the Florida Medical Association. He selected me to be the chair of the legislative committee for the Florida Medical Association back in the dark ages about 30 years ago. And I was up in Tallahassee one weekend having dinner with him. And he said, I want to tell you something, Norm. And this was in the beginning of my career. He said, it is easier to move a mountain than the opinion of a doctor. And I laughed. And he pointed his finger at me and he said, don't dare laugh. He said, what I'm telling you is the God's truth. And after practicing medicine in private practice for 40 years, what Dr. Jerry Schiebler told me was exactly right. And it's not as if physicians or healthcare providers are bullheaded. They don't want to hurt their patients. And change hurts. And when a doctor comes out of their training, they think they know it all. And anyone who raises a different approach is immediately rejected. Let me give you an example before I move on. Stomach ulcers were thought to be produced by stress. And in fact, back when I went to medical school, the chairman of surgery at the University of Florida made his career operating on patients for stomach ulcers. But 2 doctors in Australia, gastroenterologists, realized that stomach ulcers were not due to stress at all. They were due to a bacterial infection. And that bacterial infection could be treated with antibiotics. And it was a combination of 3 antibiotics that worked. Those 2 physicians were brought up before the medical board of Australia and were about to have their licenses revoked because they were not practicing the standard of care, at which time one of the doctors drank a slurry of the bacteria. And within 3 days, he was in the intensive care unit with massive stomach ulcers. They then gave him the triple antibiotic combination, and the stomach ulcers resolved. Both of those physicians were awarded the Nobel laureate in medicine. They went from having their licenses potentially revoked to establishing a new standard of care. If we don't keep our minds open, we will not advance. Now, that's not to say that you should believe every quack going down the road, and I'm certain I will be accused of that. But when you look at the thousands upon thousands of patients treated in Europe over the last 60 years, and if you have arthritis in Europe, you have better than a 90% chance you're going to receive radiation as part of your treatment as the standard of care. So let's look at the last reason why it has not been used, and that is data from the Atomic Energy Commission. These results were published in the journal Science by the U.S. National Academy of Sciences in June of 1956 and are now known to have been based upon incorrect data provided by William L. Russell from his studies at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. This erroneous interpretation of the data resulted in the switch from the long-held view that there were threshold doses, and that's the analogy I showed you with the Tylenol, to a new concept called the linear non-threshold dose response, which became the major pillar of the modern cancer risk assessment process, adapted by the United States Department, the Environmental Protection Agency, and nearly all regulatory agencies worldwide. The data was incorrect. In essence, the linear non-threshold dose response model assumes that the more radiation administered, the greater the risk of producing a secondary malignancy. That is totally false. The truth is, there are threshold doses. In this particular case, for doses between 100 centigrade per fraction and certainly a value of 50 centigrade per treatment, the dose is considered to be of minimal, if any, risk. The incorrect data was not revealed until late 1994. As indicated in an earlier slide, the dose range used for osteoarthritis is anti-inflammatory in nature and is proven to be therapeutic for countless lives. The ancient saying is relevant here. The fish rots from the head. That is, this problem started at the top of the scientific establishment to include a panel of distinguished geneticists with 2 Nobel Prize winners. Practicing physicians and healthcare providers may hesitate for radiation to be given. Their training could very well have been based upon the false information released in 1956 and perpetuated in our educated system for decades. These individuals are very caring providers who would not in any way jeopardize their patients' medical safety. And yet what they have been taught, and that information perpetuated, has placed countless thousands of patients to be denied state-of-the-art medical care. The Robert Boystow Oncology Institute, of which I'm privileged to be CEO, has been accredited by the American College of Radiology for over 30 years without any interruption. We were one of the first practices in the state of Florida to achieve this national recognition. In fact, we have been referred patients living elsewhere who are family members of ACR reviewing physician. One of the most prominent MDs in the present national government administration was not only my patient for a malignancy, but he has referred significant numbers of patients for our care. We are not venture capital driven. We are patient care driven. I always tell my staff when they interview that I want everyone coming through our front door to be treated like family, because sooner or later, the person coming through our front door will be your family. And hopefully for the greater than 24,000 patients I have treated, they have felt that difference. It comes down to one word: trust. So let me give you a personal example. I was privileged to treat one of the top 10 black belt instructors in the world. He started his treatment in Miami. He has black belt schools all over the country. He wasn't satisfied. Treatment wasn't going well. He was going downhill, and no one thought he was going to survive because he had an extremely advanced head and neck cancer. He came to see me 10 years ago, felt comfortable with our practice. We treated him. Bottom line was we cured him. He keeps coming back into the office. He doesn't have an appointment. He just walks in, goes through the office, says hello to everyone who took care of him, gets back in his Cadillac Eldorado that was Liberace's original Cadillac Eldorado, and he drives away. One day in follow-up, about 3 years after we treated him, and I told him he was cured at that point, he said, "I hope you don't mind me coming in unannounced without an appointment, walking through the office, saying hello to everyone who treated me." Well, if you know me, I am not going to tell one of the top 10 black belt instructors in the world he can't come in. That door is always open for him to come in. But he said, physically, I can definitely take care of myself, and trust me, he can. He said, emotionally, I can't take care of myself. I need to be cured again and again and again. And every time I come into this office, I'm cured. And he said, I need that because I'm made up of my physical health and my emotional health. And the two together make me. That summarizes the kind of trust he has in our practice. And wherever, if you choose and you're qualified to get this treatment, I would want you to be treated in a facility that you trust. Because whether it be cancer or osteoarthritis, the treatment needs to be done perfectly. And the only thing I require from my staff is perfection. And as long as they give me perfection, I'm happy. And everyone wants to make me happy. This, again, has absolutely nothing to do with the presentation. But the rules are, number one, bark at anything. Number two, tissue is for shredding. Number three, always follow your human to the bathroom. Number four, always share your bed with your humans. Number five, chipmunks, squirrels, toads, and birds are for chasing. And number six, you can never have enough toys. Now, if you are interested in pursuing this treatment with us, I don't want you to be overwhelmed calling the office. We have cards for you. We have set up an email address to contact us entitled ldrt@rboi.com. That's an alternative. We want to talk to you. But hopefully tomorrow we're going to get more than one or two calls. And if you get disgruntled, we need to create an alternative for you. We also want to know your last name and which one of our offices you would like to be treated in. And we have 4 offices. So we're not trying to run you away from the villages. We're trying to accommodate your residents and what could potentially be close to you. Since there are only 6 treatments to be given, some people may look at this as an eating outing and that you can sample different restaurants for the 6 times you have to come in and see me. I think this may be the opportunity for you to ask me any questions about things I may not have covered. And again, I want you to feel comfortable that I'm not here to sell this treatment nor sell my practice. What I do want to do is to provide you with information. You're all intelligent. You'll make the right decision, but you got to have the facts to do that.
We're going to get to all of your questions. Just put your hands up.
Okay.
And just so you know, before you start, I start my first treatment on Thursday. That's how much trust I have in this. My wife and I both, me for my knee, her for her back. So I can give you the results in a couple of weeks.
My question: if your insurance requires a referral, do we have to convince our PCP to?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Very few insurance policies. The question was, do you require a referral from your primary care, especially if they say, I don't think this is going to work. Most insurance, and especially the village policy, as far as I know, does not require authorization from your primary care. And we're not trying to avoid the primary care from being involved. They'll certainly get notification and all of our documentation that we're doing this. But most insurance companies do not require any authorization from the PCP. We'll be able to tell you once we check that. What we do want to do is to have radiographic proof that you have osteoarthritis. So we need either plain x-rays, CTs, or MRIs. If you have not had that done, we will send you to get it, probably at Lake Medical Imaging. And as long as it's confirmed, we have not had issues with insurance plans. They, amazingly enough, and I have to be embarrassed because I should have been doing this for years, but I've been so focused on treating cancer patients, we've kind of negated the importance of this. Well, pain is pain. And whether it's caused by cancer or osteoarthritis, you want relief and you're entitled to relief. So we need radiographic documentation. We can arrange for that if you don't already have it. As long as we've got that, we have not had an issue with insurance companies, and they've been covering this for decades. It's just it has not been used in the United States. So when we started calling up, and we only started 2 months ago, they go, of course. We say, we've got radiographic proof of osteoarthritis. Approved.
Yeah.
It's never been more clear-cut than that. Because, again, what they're looking at is the finances. Not only are you going to get relief, but they're going to save money. The other factor that I want to throw out, which now that I've become more mature, I won't say older. I used to say the word older. I've never used that in the last 10 years. When you have a major surgical procedure, the risk of mental damage is related to your age, your maturity, and how long the operation takes. And that study was done at the University of Florida by the Department of Anesthesiology over 30 years ago. The more mature you are, or the older, and the longer the operation, the greater the likelihood of losing brain cells. And again, I'm not selling this technique, but if you have a choice of either 6 treatments of radiation therapy or a knee replacement, it's your choice. What do you lose by trying the radiation first? 6 pleasant visits to our office. It in no way impairs the surgeon's ability to do the operation afterwards. So if someone says, oh, you can't get surgery after that, bull crap. It's going to make no difference at all in your ability to get surgery. Yes.
You say most insurances cover it. How about traditional Medicare? Is that going to cover it?
You bet. They jump at it. If you've got
Okay.
traditional Medicare, we will have absolutely no problems whatsoever. Now, we can only treat one body portion at a time. That's insurance requirements. So if a lady comes in with disabled hands that are not functional and she needs both of them done, we have to do one set of treatments at one, and then they have to come back for the other. Or if it's a knee and a back, then it has to be separate treatments. But again, you find that our offices are so pleasant to be around. Just like that black belt instructor, we got to put a sign up that says, don't come back, because he won't stop. Oh, yeah, do we have snacks? Actually, we do. We have coffee for you in the office. And the other thing we have is we always have jigsaw puzzles so that there's some form of, and I guess that was designed for those, I don't know whether you've ever been in a doctor's office where you had to wait. But maybe those things are required for doctor's offices where you wait. I run my office, Steve can tell you this, I run my office like the deck of an aircraft carrier, because both of us were naval aviators. It runs like clockwork. When I tell you you're going to be in our office for 15 minutes, that's it, total time, from the moment you walk in until the moment you leave. And most of the time, the treatment takes about 1.5 minutes. The treatment for osteoarthritis takes less than a minute.
Thanks for a great presentation.
Oh, you're welcome.
So does the radiotherapy just address pain, or does it also potentially arrest or stall
Very
the
good question.
advancement of the disease?
It stops the disease process at that moment. The lymphocytes are the immune system that literally dissolves that away. So I want you to think of, I love analogies because they're easier for a mind my simple to understand. But if you have an ice cube and you think of the water as the lymphocytes, it's going to eat it away. We stop the water from eating the joint space away. It's the destruction of the cartilage that is known as osteoarthritis. And it's a constant process. And when you take non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents, it doesn't stop the destruction. It relieves pain temporarily. You take it again. When you get steroid injections, it relieves pain, but it doesn't stop the destruction. In fact, if anything, over time, steroids can accelerate the destruction of the cartilage. This process stops the destruction at that point. That's why when it's bone on bone, you're not going to get as effective a result simply because the cartilage, which is the disease process, is literally gone. So you sit back and you wait that long, there's not much I can do. And yet, even under those circumstances, 50% of the patients will respond when it's bone on bone. Now, I don't know how that can happen, but it does. But that's the beauty of this treatment. We stopped the disease process. That's also another reason why if a patient gets a knee treated, they may very well come back with the hip or the shoulder. Because, again, we can only treat that particular area. If there's other areas in that same patient involved, they need to be addressed.
I have a defibrillator that doesn't work. Can I still get the treatment?
Yes. Only if the defibrillator were immediately over the area that we're treating. If you move the thickness of a hairline away from the area of the defibrillator, radiation, this is not total body radiation. This is very localized. It goes like a laser beam. If I treat someone's shoulder and you move the thickness of a hairline away from my field, there's no radiation. And it's a very good question. So, pacemakers, defibrillators, we don't like going through electronics. We go around the electronics. If it was in an area close to the shoulder, we would angle the beams to go around the defibrillator.
Your flyer says relief for advanced osteoarthritis. If you examined my hand and determined it was only moderately affected,
Then I should
would
have
I not be a candidate?
I should have treated you yesterday. Yeah. The reason why we say advanced is because the regular medical system is set up that you would go through the physical therapy first, the topical nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory agents, the orals, then you get the steroid injections, then you go to surgery. So in our system, it's more palatable to the general medical community to treat them with advanced disease with this technique. In Europe, if you have mild, you're going for radiation therapy. Because why not stop the disease process when you still have cartilage left to work with? Unless your opponent in pickleball really doesn't want you to get treatment. I had a lady, this is an aside and I won't mention any names, but I treated her 3 years ago for an advanced malignant melanoma that had spread to her lung. She had gotten immunotherapy, it totally failed, and she went into liver failure because of the toxicity of the immunotherapy. She was referred to me by the chief of staff at the George Washington University Medical Center. He had read a publication that I had done on a very unique way of treating this disease that no one else had ever done with radiation. That was low doses twice a day. So she came down from Washington, D.C., and I treated both the side of her face and her lung, and that was over 3 years ago, and she has no evidence of disease. She's potentially cured from what they said she was going to die from. But she had osteoarthritis in her shoulder. And when Susan called me up, and I had talked to her about this, she said, I'm coming down. I said, Susan, there's no reason for you to come down. I'll find a doctor in the D.C. area to treat you. It's only 6 treatments. It's ridiculous for you to fly all the way down here for 6 treatments. I'm coming down. I said, give me a day or two. And she did. In a day or two, she was at my front door. And so we gave her the 6 treatments. I started her treatment on Monday. I saw her on Wednesday. She said, I got to tell you, I have not slept through the entire night for 3 years without waking up from pain from my shoulder, regardless of the position I get into. Last night was the first night in 3 years I slept straight through and did not wake up once. And we talked this past Sunday afternoon. She said, it's full range of motion. I have no limitation whatsoever now. And she said, I think I'm going back to playing tennis. And I said, why don't we take baby steps getting there? Because the muscles are not quite ready for you to outperform. So.
Any other questions here? Yep.
Okay. I am part of your family. I was there 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And had radiation for breast cancer.
Yes.
Been negative for 5 years. And I can attest to the wonderful treatment that they're given at this place. They are great. Every single one of you. I had Dr. Flink.
Oh, yes. Herm's great. Yeah.
And if you have a problem, there's an irritation, they would go, there's a closet in the back, and they would find a cream to treat that,
yes. Yeah.
that irritation.
And we give it to you free of charge. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I want to take care of patients as humans, not parts of the body. And my colleagues and other healthcare providers feel exactly the same way. And although it may sound trite that I want everyone treated like family, when you are in our facility, you will find that a number of individuals that are treating you or the administrative staff have been our patients or their family members have been patients. So if you think, you know, this is a different attitude, it's a different attitude because they've already experienced what a cancer patient is starting to go through. I cannot relate to you because I have not had cancer. It takes another person who's experienced that to better relate to you. But as a team, we do it together. Next.
If I have received cortisone injection
Yeah.
to the knee, is there a waiting period before you can do
That
the
is a very good
radiation?
question. Is there a waiting period if you have cortisone injections? We normally allow 2 months. If you're about 2 months out. Now, in some cases, we can do it sooner. There is no reason to wait to the point where it's totally ineffective. Now, most patients who get cortisone injections, the time period between the injections gets shorter and shorter over time. So if they're set up to get it every 2 months, you may find that it switches over to every 6 weeks, then once a month. And I've had patients, like for the hands, they get injections once a week because the disease is progressing. So in those cases, what we don't want to do is you get an injection one day and we treat you the next. So it may not require 2 months. It varies from person to person.
For the gel injection also?
Yes.
Okay. Is that your question? Yes, if you've had a broken bone and now you're arthritic, or multiple breaks in the same bone, will that work?
Yeah, it potentially will, simply because arthritis can occur in a broken bone. So let me give you some anatomy as far as normal bones are concerned. Every 2 years, your skeleton completely remakes itself. There are cells in your bone that are eating bone away at the same time that there are new cells laying new bone down. It's like repaving a highway. So everyone thinks of the bone as just being there. In all of the organs of the body, the bones are the most dynamic. They are constantly undergoing change. So if you fracture a rib, you'll get a callus formation, a thickening of the bone. That's part of the healing process. But as time goes on, the callus diminishes until finally the bone looks exactly the same as it did before the fracture ever occurred. The arthritic component is a degenerative component that will occur, and it's probably accentuated because of the trauma you had from the breakage. So that's not to say, if you're asking us, can we treat you because of the breakage of the bone, that's not going to make a difference. If there is arthritis resulting from the damage of the bone, you better believe we're going to make a difference. And how do we find out? We try it.
I was wondering if they know anything about rheumatoid arthritis.
Very good question. Rheumatoid arthritis is an immune response. We don't know nearly enough about that to recommend radiation for rheumatoid arthritis, but as I indicated in one of the earlier slides, many patients will have osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis in the same joint. We don't know whether the rheumatoid arthritis is going to benefit from it. If there is a component of osteoarthritis at the same time, it potentially would. How do we prove it? You get an x-ray. If it's osteoarthritis, it's worth trying. Yes.
Can the process, your process, be used on C1 and the skull? Those.
C1 is a cervical spine, and it can be used. As far as the skull is concerned, C1 connects with that, and
Yes,
it can be used.
And I have no cartilage there.
Bone on bone is going to be less responsive because, again, there's no padding. The padding's been eliminated. When I do my laundry and I take these gel things to throw in there, because I'm not going to pour a powder in, I just throw it. They're little malleable containers of liquid inside, which is the soap. I want you to think of your cartilage as a little bit firmer, but the same kind of thing. Cartilage is normally made up of about 70% liquid. It has to be. It's got to be padding. This is a cushion effect that works. Imagine the cushion is being destroyed over time. We want to stop the destruction sooner rather than later, whether you're doing your laundry or not.
Good evening. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I will be graduating from RBOI tomorrow.
Can't hear.
And you'll get a diploma.
I expect it. Thank
Yeah.
you. But I will say this. Dr. Anderson doesn't know me. I don't know him, but I know about his reputation. what he has said about this facility, RBOI, is just unbelievable about family and this and that kind of stuff. And I'm going to come back for my ankle. Rather than have an ankle replacement, I'm coming right back, and I want Dr. Flink.
Okay, very good. We'll make sure that happens.
Thank you.
Hi. I've got two questions. The first one is, what about bone spurs? Is that something completely different?
No, that's
on the heel where a tendon would attach?
Right. That's osteophyte formation, and that is part of osteoarthritis.
So this may help that.
It may.
And on the hands, you're talking about 50 grads.
50 rads, right, or 50 centigrade or 0.5 gray.
So you've got 5 fingers. So
Yeah,
you're
we'll
gonna
do them
hit-
all at the same time.
So it's the whole hand. Then.
Yes, it is. When we treat the hand, we treat from the fingernails proximally to this portion above the wrist. We're taking care of the bones, we're taking care of the ligaments, all of that, and so that's considered to be one treatment. We treat the whole area. I guess we could treat each finger, but you know what? We would drive people crazy coming back 10 times to do the hand. The whole hand is treated as a unit.
I have a question. We're all mature here, so we all have some form of arthritis.
I'm noticing.
Yes, but you know, just to be, what prevents it? I mean, is there anything we can do? Is exercise? Is good food? Is anything?
Yeah. You know, those risk factors that we talked about initially is that there's a strong genetic history that unfortunately, no matter what you do, cannot be overridden. There are some patients who are just, they're going to get it because that's the way they were born, and it's a matter of time before it occurs. There are some supplements that can decrease the rate of it occurring, but whenever it does, the most important thing is to address the issue as early in the disease process as possible. That is, stop it. Now, the other question that's asked me is, how long is this good for? Is it 3 months that it works? The data from Europe would indicate up to 5 years. And yet, there are patients, they say, in Europe that they never need more treatment. 10, 15 years later, the joint space is unaffected. I guess at the point where more of the lymphocytes start to migrate in, 5 or 10 years later, you have to repeat the treatment. But again, it can be repeated multiple times. I don't know of a way. If there was a way, I guarantee you the pharmaceutical industry would be smart enough to have figured it out by now. Maybe that's my next project.
Thank you. Now you said if someone has a gel shot, you have to wait 2 months?
Not necessarily. It's that we don't do it the next day. It really depends on how often the shot is given, because some people get the shots as time goes on over a shorter and shorter and shorter time.
What if you just had one shot?
Well, it depends on how long, again, you're getting benefit from it. If you start to lose the benefit of the shot, you know that the gel is no longer there. It's been reabsorbed into the body. That's the time to proceed with it. And again, this may not be overly accepted by whoever the physician is, orthopod or whoever. And we're not competing with them. That's still a very accepted form of treatment. It's just that this concept has been used elsewhere in the world for 60 years, and a lot of people are saying, you know what, I think I've had enough shots.
Dr. Anderson, I've had total ankle replacement surgery.
Yes.
But I still have an arthritic condition in my foot.
Yeah.
Can I still?
Yes.
Am I still a candidate?
You can, and again, we don't know what the results are going to be, but it's not unusual for patients to have had surgery, still have issues that are secondary to the inflammation and benefit from it. In Europe, they even treat tendonitis. It may have nothing to do with the joint. It's just an inflamed tendon, and they give the same low dose of radiation and it works. We're not selling any of this. We're merely providing you an alternative to what is right now used as the standard of care.
Thank you.
I have Dupuytren and trigger fingers.
Yes.
Would this treatment be helpful for that?
Definitely.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I can't tell you the 100%. but I can tell you the application applies.
These are my fingers.
Yeah, Dupuytren's contractures. I treated one dentist who was about to give up his dental practice because the contraction
Right.
of his fingers, he couldn't hold the instruments to work in someone's mouth.
I'll be giving you a call.
We got any more questions? One more. Two more.
Also, is carpal tunnel involved? Is that kind of an arthritic condition?
It is an arthritic condition. Many times carpal tunnel does require surgery to get maximum benefit. But again, that hasn't been researched as much as some of the other areas. So I would have to be honest with you, to be fair, I'd have to do some research to find out how many patients and what the percentage success rate is.
If you have arthritis in your hip, is that something that could be
Definitely.
worked on?
Yeah. And the way we angle the beams, we miss the internal organs, but the hip is quite common. And as you can see from the slide, in women it's like 47%, and in men it's like 27%. So it's definitely worth pursuing.
Okay, Dr. Anderson.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before you guys all leave, thank you again. He's done many presentations for me over the last 10 years, and they're always really good. And I will tell you, the care I got when we went for the setup, my wife and I, was beyond belief. Okay, I've been in a lot of doctors' offices. You can ask his question when I'm done. Okay, but I just want to say one thing. I forgot to mention something. The board will fire me, even though I only have 3 more months. We have a shredding event on March 21st. It'll be our 7th annual shredding event. You need to be a paid up member, and you need to get a ticket. And there'll be more information in the October magazine. Tickets will start being issued in November. So you need a ticket. We had 1,000 cars go through last year. I'm sure we'll have 1,000 cars go through this year. Don't get shut out. Okay, guys, we have donuts and coffee in the back. Thank you all for coming. You've been a great audience.